Hello viewers. Welcome to one of the most spectacular fishing operations on the ocean, where giant boats and nets hundreds of meters long can collect hundreds of tons of fish in a single night. In the quiet, foggy night of the ocean far from shore, when the sun has disappeared behind the horizon and the waves echo only with the sound of the wind, a giant fishing boat is preparing for the biggest hunt of the day. This is no ordinary fishing boat, but a mobile fishing machine, equipped with radar systems, satellite positioning equipment, sonar and especially a giant bottom trawling net, enough to intercept a whole school of migrating fish. This 1,000-ton ship departed from the port the previous afternoon, carrying dozens of experienced sailors. After more than 10 hours of moving through the waves and darkness, the ship reached an ideal marker, where the sonar signals showed a giant school of fish, stretching for several hundred meters, swimming deep under the cold water. The signal from the radar screen kept flashing, clusters of bright spots appeared, showing that the school of fish was gathering along the current, moving slowly but densely. This was the golden moment, the key moment of a night of fishing. The captain shouted loudly. A series of commands rang out from the control cabin. The automatic trawl system started working. A net nearly 800 meters long, dozens of meters wide, weighing tons, was gradually lowered into the sea from the back of the ship. It was designed like a giant bag, with large steel guides on both sides, helping to keep the mouth of the net always open underwater, able to catch the entire school of fish as the ship moved. The entire process of casting the net took place in the dark. Only the dim light from the ship's rear headlights illuminating the water. The iron wings sank deep into the ocean like giant bat wings, starting to expand and pulling the mouth of the net. Workers stood guard on both sides, their eyes glued to the cables and the traction sensor system. They were waiting for the ideal moment to start rolling the net. After about 45 minutes, the ship completed a long arc of nearly 2 nautical miles. On the screen, the bright spots were now completely within the trawl area. The giant school of fish was surrounded from all sides. Once again, the captain gave the command. The hydraulic system began to pull the net. The sounds rang out, the screech of the steel cables, the roar of the hydraulic motors, the sound of waves being cut through by the trawl. Meter by meter the net was pulled up, heavy and sparkling with silver. An ocean of fish was being pulled up from the water. Flounder, cod, red snapper, stingray. From small ones weighing a few kilos to giant ones weighing tens of kilos. All were stuck in a mess, struggling weakly in the light. The splashing water, the strong thrashing made the atmosphere chaotic and tense. Another hydraulic crane started working. It lifted the main net bag weighing several tons off the deck, then slowly tilted it towards the discharge chute. When the mouth of the bag opened, a stream of fish poured down the chute like a waterfall, silvery white, shiny, falling and echoing like hail. The sound of tons of fish falling onto the deck mixed with the cheers of the crew, creating a sound picture of victory. On the deck, dozens of workers immediately took up their positions. They divided themselves up to stand at the sorting tables, each holding a knife, bucket, measuring tape, to classify the size, type and check the freshness of each batch of fish that had just been dumped. The big fish are taken to the freezer immediately. The others are washed with high-pressure water and then taken to the cold storage. Everything happens at breakneck speed, not a second is wasted. The whole operation lasts for hours, casting nets, pulling nets, collecting nets, sorting fish, packaging and preserving. In just one night, the ship can make 2 to 3 pulls, each bringing in more than 70 to 100 tons of fish, depending on the density of the fish and the ocean currents. The atmosphere on board is always tense. The workers only take a few minutes to rest between catches. On the deck, soaked with seawater, each worker walks hurriedly between plastic crates full of fish, sweat mingling with the cold air of the night sea. Behind them are modern processing systems, automatic sorting conveyor belts, vacuum bagging machines, deep freezers, all working together smoothly like a miniature factory in the middle of the ocean. This ship is not only a place for fishing but also a place for immediate processing and preservation, to ensure the freshest quality when arriving at port near dawn. When the sea surface began to lighten, the last net of the night was pulled up. The ship's hull tilted slightly due to the weight of hundreds of tons of fish inside the holds. When the sun rose, everyone stopped working, wiped their sweat, leaned on the railing and looked out to sea, where they had just won a silent but fierce battle. Some young fishermen took the opportunity to wash their faces with cold seawater, resting halfway on the fish tank, their eyes still looking far away, where the next school of fish might be swimming in the distance. On their faces was fatigue, but also happiness, because they knew that tonight's results could bring in enough income for a month of work. And each fish they caught was a contribution to the country's marine economy. The journey to catch hundreds of tons of fish in just one night is not simply a story of nets and boats. It is a story of technology, of experience, of the perfect coordination between humans and machines. It is the crystallization of many years of apprenticeship, many generations of fishermen living with the sea, understanding the sea and mastering the sea. Today, with the support of global positioning systems, radar, sonar and automation, the offshore fishing industry has reached a level where just one ship can catch as much as a fleet of small boats in the past. But at the same time, concerns about protecting fishery resources are also raised, because if overfished, fish stocks may disappear. That is why, on each ship, in addition to the team of skilled fishermen, there are always marine biologists or representatives from the control agency. They monitor the output, check the nets and the types of fish allowed to be caught, and ensure strict compliance with regulations on protecting the marine environment. These efforts are aimed at keeping the ocean rich and fertile, so that fishing nights like today will never become a memory. At the end of the fishing trip, the ship turned back to port, carrying more than 250 tons of fresh fish. The entire deck is now like a living warehouse, filled with the smell of sea salt, fresh fish and the sweat of honest workers. When the ship docked the next morning, dozens of refrigerated trucks were waiting. The fish are quickly unloaded, transported directly to seafood processing plants, freezing factories and distribution systems everywhere, from local fish markets to high-end supermarkets at home and abroad. One night at sea, several hundred tons of fish, millions of meals are created. And behind each fish, there is a